Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special discussion on International Women's Day with two exceptional women leaders, the former President of the Republic of Finland, Tarja Halonen, and the former Minister of Defence Elisabeth Rehn. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much.
It is nice to be here.
It's wonderful to be here with both of you today. You've been both pioneers or first-timers of sorts in your distinguished careers. Minister Rehn, you were the first female Minister of Defense in the world. And Madam President, you were the first female President of the Republic of Finland. But on top of that, both of you have had very important and influential careers internationally. Mr. Rehn, we all remember your distinguished service as the UN Under-Secretary General and the Special Rapporteur of Human Rights at a very difficult time, of course, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And you, Madam President, also have been doing. You haven't stopped really since you left. Since you left office,
you had to kick me out.
Co-chair of the ILO World Commission on the Social Dimension of Globalization, co-chair of the UN High-Level Panel on Global Sustainability, and more recently, the Secretary General's High-Level Advisory Board on Mediation, and you were also a UN Land Ambassador. So, what an honor and pleasure it is to be with both of you here today on International Women's Day. And this year's theme is Women in Leadership. So we will be talking about that quite a lot today with you. Many recognize the importance of having role models in your career and in your life. And both of you, if anyone, have been tremendous role models to legions of young women leaders throughout your career, and you still are. What would you say, or what kind of advice would you give to the role models and women leaders of today for the young girls and women who want to strive for more and for more equality today?
I would first of all tell them that don't ever hesitate when you have the chance to do something important or less important, but to take some new kind of challenge. And like girls very often are thinking, and women, young women, that no, this is too difficult for me. I'm certainly not good enough. And never think about this, that I'm not good enough. Perhaps you aren't. I have met it many times, but never say no. Of course, there are situations when you have to say no, but they have nothing with careers and work to do. And that's what I would like to encourage the girls, that try to do something that is not the usual, that is not meant for men. President Tarja was definitely, it was meant that always presidents are men, and then you broke this. And for a Minister of Defense, that's also just that it should be a man. So it's not so difficult to just break what has been the habit. And that's what I would like to tell to the young people.
Courage to break barriers, yes.
I would say that surely the life where you are the first one in your kind. So the life is not always perhaps very comfortable, but it will be extremely exciting and interesting. And the second point, what I would add to what Elisabeth said, is that the fact that the ministers or any other type of the high-profile workers or anything in your country where they have used to have a certain type, certain role model. So it's not a rule that it should be always like the same. That you can give a new idea, new profile for this kind of the tasks, and that's, I think, is very important today, both for the men and women, that we should see broader. And that's why it's always very, very useful to have the persons with the different backgrounds and different experience, and that's why it makes also so important to have both men and women in these duties. And so I think also that now this COVID-19 has opened finally our eyes to see that what is the security of human being, what the security of all the inhabitants of this planet. And so we have been speaking about that a long time, that of course war is something what nobody wants to be existing here, but there are also different kind of the enemies. And women have been traditionally very experienced in education, in social welfare, in health. And now I think that finally people have understood that these are really important parts of the well-being of human beings.
Oh, I
And
think that the
so I
pandemic,
think that the respect and the valuation will come higher now.
Absolutely. But we take a look at Finland's record with women leadership. You've inspired the world from very on in women leadership, especially in the political sphere. So the long tradition, and now we're at parity in many areas. But given your vast experience, what are the social and economic advantages for gender parity or gender balance in leadership?
50% plus 50% is 100%. And that's concerning also the population and the human resources. If we neglect either women or men, so we neglect something very valuable concerning the sustainable future. And this evaluation of the different sectors, what Elisabeth already mentioned, has been perhaps also one of the challenges why the boys have not been interested in the areas where the women have been traditionally very good ones. But if we take the global situation, so the situation is very clear that one of the biggest wasted resource of mankind, humankind, is the resources of the women, resources of the girls. And as much as we speak about the quality education for the children and youth, we should also remember that it's a lifelong learning, because we live longer and longer, and we see also the situation that women should have the same possibilities to continue their education through their lifetime, and encourage also men to do that.
I think that one point is unfortunately too money. Politicians are not so well paid as people in economics.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
And then the men would like to have those jobs. It was also newly told in Finnish papers that still they don't look for engineering as something to study. So we should much more teach the girls that you could well have your earning from all different kind of life. So there is a lot to do still.
And also the vice versa, that I work for the World Health Organization in this COVID-19 in European Commission, and so wherever we are looking the situation, so the very huge responsibility of the women in first front against COVID-19. They're women. The women are nurses, women are teachers, women are doing all this important work what we now are longing for. But one thing what is not very visible is that in all countries women are those who are main responsibility doing and looking after the so-called non-official care work in the families in broader sense, and so yeah, and then this is also something that women should also to see that they are breadwinning or the earning winning, and so they also deserve and decent treatment in that sense.
And that's now it's really a trap. Many things are a trap with this corona going on. But women are already now doing worldwide 3 times more household work. And certainly now, when the children are at home and not to the schools, and all these will perhaps make very bad tracks to the future for women.
What can we do? Because the pandemic, and most the data that you've also read, has hit us, all of us, very hard, but has hit women particularly hard. You know, in fact, there's domestic violence. There are the frontline workers that you mentioned. So how can we now build back better? Where should we focus on so that when we come back from this, that we are better in terms of equality?
Very good question. It doesn't happen like that, of course. But what we could do in like that is open our eyes to see what the reality is. And that's why we say always that in Finland that human rights work is an everyday work. It's not something what you are doing in special occasion, but it's in the same way when you have learned to read. And you don't forget it if you are training it every day, but you have to train. So the human rights reading is the same. When you have once learned it, so you have to train it. You have to see it always where you are.
It's of course a lot of small steps, different steps after all of this. If the after pandemic is coming, I hope it will come. But we must also change the view on our society and how it's built up, which are just the stones, the building material for building up the society. I'm a child of the war. I was 9 when our part, Finland's part of the World War II, finally ended, and women made enormous efforts to keep all the society running. I have seen it all over in different countries that what the women are doing, and then afterwards they are again so-called normal women that men decide about. That didn't happen in Rwanda, where the women then, of course, men were killed. But women have kept this to really keep up the society. So there are good examples. And I think that whatever we are doing here, because I think in many ways Finland has been a role model, thanks to many of our fantastic figures on the top and in the international life. So we have also to show the example now, and at the same time pay all the admiration to other nations, not like we sometimes do from the Nordic countries, that we teach, that we know these things best, but together with other nations. And that goes for human rights, that goes for women's rights, that goes for equal opportunities.
Some are predicting much better days for us after the pandemic, a boom of sorts, like the 1920s, something that the optimists are we going to see a gender leap boom? Could this be bad news for good news? Do you see that as an opportunity?
It is exactly like Elisabeth said, that we have one version of life for the conflict time, whether it's the war or pandemic. And then we have so-called normal time. And we should see that how the things are organized at the normal time are, if they have done well, they are also best for such kind of the conflict times, whatever is the reason, war or the pandemic. So, and to keep these lessons we all have now during this COVID-19. Yeah, I do think so that we can learn a lot about this, and some of these issues what we have now learned, they will anyway remain, but we should take the best of it. Yeah.
And I think that we must also, of course I'm talking now for myself, but we should not look down at the elderly people who
Absolutely,
yes,
absolutely not.
yes, because it is a little bit, oh, that's the old ancient times, but there is so much of experience to be shared, and the good parts of the experience should really be taken care of. That not only that is those old times, they never come again.
No.
But there are no old times. There are times when things are going well and times when all are suffering.
I'd love to draw on your massive experience, your life experience, what a journey you both have gone through. This is a typical question, but it was such a good question, I think, to ask, especially the two of you today. You know, if you could whisper something in the ear of the younger you, the 20-year-old Tarja or Elisabeth, what would you say to her?
I would say to her, the young Elisabeth would just understand that you should never give up, that there are so much for you to be done in your life, and take all the possibilities, take use of them, be happy with them, cry with them. And I was 27 when I gave birth to my fourth child, so I know what life is in the middle of a catastrophe.
Hectic
and
family life.
and that has gone through to be defense minister or see what is happening in wars and so. And you can manage with everything. The young Elisabeth, don't be afraid of taking your part of the life.
Thank you.
Oh, I think that the 20 years old Tarja would not listen to me. That's the first thing.
But somehow I believe that.
Yeah, perhaps I could say from my own experience and concerning the experiences of my mother, I would say that just wait a minute. You might also sometimes listen the other people, not only to tell that what's your opinion. But I think, if I know myself, that I will say that no time, we will do it. And that's why I always say for my younger ones that you do your future, but remember, then I'm no more with you. You do your future, take a responsibility.
We love both of you. Thank you so much for this very, very unique moment.
Thank you very much for discussions.
Thank you very much.